Hello, my name is Florian Stamer. I research collaboration in production networks at the WBK Institute of Production Science in Germany. Today I would like to present you a method to derive collaboration cases in production networks considering smart services. Every collaboration is an interaction of at least two parties. Collaboration in production networks has special conditions compared to collaboration in other areas. There's usually a large physical distance between collaborating factories. This is often accompanied by time zones and cultural differences. The language barrier also plays a role. If we look at the resistors to collaboration mentioned in the literature, we can see that the conditions in global production networks reinforce these resistors. It is very difficult to build trust in such an environment. However, trust is the central requirement for collaboration. This is where the idea of using smart services as an intermediary for interaction comes into play. The smart services are tailored to the specific task area of interaction. The central characteristics of incentive-oriented smart services are, on the one hand, automation, and on the other hand, incentive orientation. Automation prevents the potential of collaboration from being eaten up by organizational effort. They are also a first step towards autonomous process execution. Incentive orientation is the possibility to map incentive mechanisms via smart services. With these, the collaboration can be set user-dependent. Following this idea, a holistic framework was developed in a preliminary work which structures the approach. In order to be holistic, I suggested to start on a strategic level. Every company needs to have an implicit or explicit strategy. Therefore, the strategic level is a good starting point. On this level, I added a collaboration strategy. From the collaboration strategy, it is necessary to elaborate different collaboration cases. Inside the collaboration cases, different interactions are identified, which are needed to realize a collaboration on an operational level. Here, smart services can leverage the incentive to interact. For this purpose, a special design of concrete smart services is needed, which is the last step of the presented framework. As a summary, we start on a strategic level, derive different cases, and try to use smart services whenever a collaborative interaction is needed and hindered by resistors. In the context of this work, I will focus on the elaboration of collaboration cases, as it has not been exhaustively examined yet. Next, I would like to outline the focus of the presentation. As you can remember, the prerequisite of this work is the strategic visionary level. With this input, I start with the identification of the collaborative situation. Further, I will present a modular system to analyze the collaborative situation. A very important aspect of collaboration is the stakeholder influence. Therefore, this is also covered. All these steps then serve as a preparation for the collaboration negotiation. We start directly on the network level with our vision. Here we already identified the subject of the collaboration. Logically, we automatically know some of the stakeholders when we created the vision. The idea now is to follow the process flow to isolate the relevant process chain. This is the core step to render the collaboration case clearly. A first good heuristic is to model the process flow, for example with BPMN. Typically, the practitioners already have a sense which processes could be important for the collaboration and which are neglectable. The next refinement is now applied by iteratively analyzing the dependency between two processes until all processes are considered. The processes with the highest influence on the collaborative situation are further considered. The now isolated process chain is also the foundation for the stakeholder analysis. There already exists a vast amount of literature about stakeholder analysis. This work is based on widely recognized knowledge from this field. We suggest to differentiate stakeholders by their mental distance to the process. This way, we see 4 classes of distances: primary, secondary, oppositional, and outside stakeholders. As an orientation, typical allocation of stakeholders to the possible classes is given in the paper of this work. The class structure helps to filter the list of possible stakeholders, saving effort in the next steps. For a final analysis, we suggest a matrix dividing the stakeholders by their influence and by their incentive. This step is based on the knowledge and understanding of the practitioners and therefore is subjective. To prevent biases, a structured analysis process is needed. Therefore, experiences with stakeholders in the past should be discussed and rated regarding each process individually, as stakeholders can be saboteurs with high influence for one process, but supporters with low power for other ones. This way, the stakeholders of high importance are found. The last step of deriving the collaboration case is the determination and evaluation of possible decisions. A clear understanding of what steps can be taken next is crucial for future negotiation with collaboration partners. To get the possible decisions, there are 4 fields of action needed. First, the theoretical decision space is derived. It describes all theoretically possible steps. In order to handle complexity, only relevant aspects should be considered. A well-working method is to first think about possible parameters. For example, are investments part of the collaboration implementation? If yes, what kind of investments? Or is the collaboration mainly about information exchange? If so, which forms of information could be used? And so on. These parameters and their values define the theoretical decision space. Next, data should be collected. The data is necessary to base the decisions with information from reality. It can be done using the broadly known CRISP-DM cycle. The third field is the modeling of the decision correlations. For the goal of evaluating the possible decisions, it is necessary to understand the cause relationship of the decisions. This can be done using a causal model showing the consequences of decisions. With this foundation, it is possible to develop a recommender. The recommender should act as a decision support and helps to order possible decisions individually. As a summary, it can be said that there are already frameworks for collaboration. These frameworks are often on an abstract and high level. For a practical application, a drill down is needed. Therefore, this work focused on deriving collaboration cases based on a previous work using smart services. The approach can be described in 3 steps. First, the relevant process chain of interest must be isolated. Second, all stakeholders must be identified, including their interest. Lastly, transparency about possible decisions is needed. For this purpose, I presented 4 fields of action needed to establish the transparency. Future work is needed in terms of negotiation and organizational support to complement the implementation approach. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm always open for questions or discussion, so please feel free to contact me.